Hey and welcome into the top 3 deadly opening traps for Blitz and Bullet, and the first one is really dope. And the really great thing about this opening trap is that it happens in one of the most played opening lines ever. Here, after white goes bishop c4, knight f6, the two knights defense, white goes knight g5, aiming to attack your f7 square, and in this position black usually plays pawn d5, or sometimes bishop c5, but there is another move which seems really weird at first. It's the move knight takes e4. And when you play a move like that, it's very likely that your opponent will just think that you're a total beginner, you're not understanding what you're doing. Because, not only you're now protecting the f7 pawn, which can now be captured, which would only also attack your queen and rook, you're also giving away the knight. It's almost like give up chess, So it looks like you're doing something totally weird, but of course, there's a catch. Now, first of all, let me address the question, what if I just capture your knight? In this case, there's no problem for you whatsoever, because you go pawn d5 with a double attack to the white's minor pieces, bishop and knight. Inevitably, you'll take one of them back on the next move, and you're just having a great position. But of course, the main question is, let me take a move back. So here, instead of taking your knight, the main idea for white was to capture your pawn on f7, and it looks like white can just go ahead and do this. Not only winning the pawn, but also attacking your heavy pieces, hoping to grab one of them. So it looks like white is just winning here. But there we go with queen to h4, threatening queen takes f2 checkmate. And at this point your opponent thinks, oh, okay, he's so naive. Not only he blunders away all of his pieces, but he's also really hoping to checkmate me like this, in a super simple way. And so he goes pawn g3, thinking that now you're done, because obviously he prevented you from that checkmate, and now the next move he's gonna capture a rook, the queen is attacked, looks like black is falling apart. However, this is precisely the moment for you to say something like, and after that you play knight takes g3. All of a sudden, it backfires for white, and now white is actually losing. Let me show you how exactly it happens. First of all, you're attacking the rook. Not only you're destroying the white's position. White can't really capture with a pawn, because in this case, the pawn is pinned, and you can just go ahead and grab the rook, attack the king, and after king e2, you'll follow up with knight d4, so here white is done. So this variation certainly doesn't work for white. But what if he recaptures with a pawn? In this case, you go queen to e4, and you're attacking a whole lot of pieces in the white's position, the king, the rook, and the bishop. And now you're certainly winning, because you're also going to capture the rook with a check, which is also important. So white has no time to do anything apart from just protecting their king. For example, if they go king f1, you just capture the rook, checking the king, if king goes forward. There is a lot that you can do actually, but you can go knight to d4, and on the next move, well, the king goes away, you'll just capture the queen, and here you're totally winning. White lost a lot of control, and his king is exposed, and will probably be checkmated very soon after something like queen to f3. Alright, now we're back to the starting position for this trap, the two knights defense. At this point you go knight takes e4. So far we already saw that if white recaptures back, it's not dangerous for you. Just push the pawn to d5 and you take one of the pieces back. Therefore, this is not a problem for you. If white tries to capture your pawn, just like we have already analyzed after queen h4, you're actually winning here. So that is also bad for white. Now, what should white do? Is it just to, resign and give up chess? No. Definitely there must be a way for white. The way is to take the pawn with a bishop. But the good thing about this trap is that even after that, white is very unlikely to find the correct continuation. I checked it in the database, so you're safe here. Most players cannot find the right principle right here. After bishop takes f7, king e7 is forced. And in this position, the correct move for white, which puts most trouble for black, is actually pawn to d4, but it's really hard to find such a move during a real practical game. And most players, they just go ahead and take their knight, which is not dangerous. By the way, if they go pawn to d3, which is also not that dangerous, you just shouldn't take the knight, obviously, because in this case, they'll recapture with the bishop and win your queen. But if you just move your knight back, you're good to go. White is perhaps more active here, but it's still perfectly playable for you here. So the correct move for white is d4, but again, most likely your opponents will never find it, and they'll capture the knight, which is what they do in the vast majority of the games. And here, black is still doing perfectly okay. You're capturing the bishop, and then after a queen f3 check, you go back to e8. And yes, you can't castle anymore, because your king made a couple moves, but you have good center, your other pawn is ready to push, The knight is ready to jump to d4 to attack the queen as well as the pawn on c2. You've got two bishops, therefore you've got plenty of the good things in this position as well. And yeah, let me just show you one more line here which can happen. Again, it's the most played moves actually, right? Usually plays pawn on d3, you go pawn on d5 to kick off the knight. They go knight g5, you go queen f6 to cover that square. You're seemingly sacrificing the pawn on d5, but you're once again ready to trap your opponent. And again, most likely your opponents are gonna fall right into this trap. Because here you go knight to d4, and there is no good way for white to stop you from capturing the pawn and then the rook in the corner, okay? If white plays queen to c4, which looks like the only option for white really to protect the pawn, then you go pawn to b5 and you drive this queen away and you're gonna capture the pawn anyway. So here, it's already time for white to resign. For example, if they capture the pawn first, they keep chasing the queen, you go bishop d6, attacking the queen, and now there's no good way for white. You may wonder what if they go queen to c3 to keep protecting the pawn. Well, you tell me. Please think about this. I'm sure you can find a winning finish for black here, but you'll need to do a little thinking. So think about this and write it down in the comments below. How should black play here? And actually, this is really practical because the line that I shown you so far is actually the most popular line in this variation. Therefore, you have the chance to actually go ahead and execute the next move in your practical game. Here comes the second trap. It's also pretty cool because even master and grandmaster level players fall victims of this trap. It can happen after the first move, either pawn to d4 or pawn to e4, works either way. If black tries to play something like Burke defense or King's Indian defense, trying to fiend shadow their kingside bishop, this thing can work. So let's say right now they go pawn to d6, kind of preparing to push the pawn to e5. So you go knight to f3 to stop this, to provide this additional control over the e5 square. Black may try doing the same, playing knight to d7, eventually preparing pawn to e5 on the next move, and then you go pawn to e4, developing a piece, and at this point, very often they would go pawn to g6 to fiend shadow their bishop because it's part of their plan. If they go pawn to e5 right away, it's actually still a little bit troublesome for black. After the exchange, you can go bishop c4, and now there are various different problems for black to that potential weakness in the f7, and therefore it's still not that easy for black. Anyway, let's go back here. The move which they're likely to play is pawn to g6, preparing to fiend shadow their bishop. Now you go bishop c4. It looks like you're just developing a piece just like black do, and here comes the really fun thing. In the vast majority of your games, your opponent will play bishop to g7. Let me show you a few funny statistics here. This is the database of games, okay, so that just you know that we're talking about some real practical stuff. Right here, as you can see, the top played move, the first most played move is bishop to g7, which is losing. It's a bad mistake, but most players actually go ahead and play it. Now, if we're looking at the players who play this, you see that there are players, 2900, 2900, 2800, really strong guys, keep falling, victims of this trap. And another fun thing is that most players who play this as white are unaware of this, and they lose this opportunity just because instead of playing bishop takes f7, which is winning. So it's really cool that you're watching this video because you want to be like these guys who just hustle here. As you already know, the winning move for white here is bishop takes f7, but anyway, let me show you the follow-up so that you know how to finish the game off. Black will recapture, you go knight g5 check, and at this point, black realizes that it's time to resign, and actually a lot of players do resign here. Because if they go king to f6, then obviously queen to f3, checkmate. So this is really simple. If king goes back either to f8 or e8, it does not really matter in this case, because in both the cases you just go knight to e6, which attacks the queen. In this case, the queen is trapped. It also simultaneously somewhat attacks the bishop and the pawn, but in this case it's not really matter because you're most likely just gonna capture the queen on the next move. While you definitely can, and I hope you will, win a couple of games by following the opening traps that I'm showing to you, still you cannot really hope to become a strong chess player just by using these occasional tricks here and there. So if you want to take it to the next level, then I would recommend that you click the link on the screen or down below and study the course 8 Aggressive Chess Openings, where we prepared for you the top 8 most aggressive chess openings, which are aggressive and also solid. Therefore, you're not losing the game, you're not just hoping for a certain error of your opponent. These are just proven openings that put you in a more aggressive position so that they maximize your chances of winning later. And also it's just easier to play when you are an attacker because it's generally easier to attack rather than to defend. So click the link on the screen and I'm sure you will like the course if you're interested, or else let's continue with the trap number 3. The first trap is used as black when your opponent tries playing the King's Gambit against you, and in this case you can use the counter gambit, pawn on e5, and after white captures the pawn you push your pawn on e4, which gives you some space advantage and prevents white from developing their knight normally. Therefore the main move for white is pawn on d3, you protect the pawn, and after the exchange, white may decide to start attacking your knight, because otherwise, as you can see with the errors, white can continue with bishop c5 and then knight to f2 or bishop f2, somewhat attacking and disturbing white. And therefore, white may decide to just go ahead and play queen to e2 to put this knight under pressure. The knight is pinned, and white is even hoping to win the knight, because they may think that we just did something wrong. But there you go with bishop to f5, protecting the knight. And it turns out that, well, while it still looks dangerous for black, there is still a pin over the white's knight, but it's not that easy to win this knight right away, because what can white do? If they go knight to c3, there is no problem for you, because you just go bishop b4, putting the pin on their knight as well, and after that you castle, and everything is just great. Therefore, this definitely creates no problems for you. If they try pawn on g4, with the idea to push your bishop away, and after that, to collect the knight on e4, it doesn't work as well, even though a lot of players are actually going for a pawn on g4. They think that they're winning, but they're not, because there is queen to h4 check. Which is check to the king, and after the king goes to d1, now you can capture this pawn and actually also put a lot of problems for white here. White may be thinking, okay, if the move g4 doesn't work immediately, then let me play knight to f3 and just prepare that move, because now the knight is covering the h4 square, so your queen cannot go there anymore, and white is ready to push their opponent. Still, they're hoping to win your knight. In this case, you play as if nothing happened, and you just play bishop c5, continuing your development. Now white think to themselves, okay, I got you, man, and they go pawn on g4. But you stay cool, you just castle, give up the bishop, and after they capture, you play rook to e8. Now I start realizing that you had some ideas, that it's not that you're just under the pace here, because that rook puts this unpleasant pressure over the e-file, and black is ready to jump their knight to f2, for example, and then to attack a lot of pieces in the white's position. So white is really in some sort of trouble, and they may hope, okay, let me just close the file by playing knight to e5. This closes the file, and yet again it will use the threat of queen takes e4. It looks really good for white at first, but still here comes queen to h4 check, which upsets the white's plans. Now for king d1, which is forced to follow up with knight to f2 check, and yeah, white is just losing because you're taking a lot of the white's pieces. If they go king to d2, you can capture the pawn on f4, and after the king, let's say to e1, you just capture that bishop on c1, and white will be checkmated on the next move. This is one more cool trap that you can use to win games easily against your opponents who are playing the most natural moves and are unaware of this evergreen trap. Hope that you like it. If so, give a like to this video, and also you can click the link on the screen or down below and enroll into the course 8 Aggressive Chess Openings, where you study the solid and yet aggressive openings that you can play in your blitz games, over the board games, against amateur players, or against more experienced opponents who selected the openings that way. I wish you all the best in your chess battles, and I'll talk to you soon.